and welcome back to another Doctor Who product review. In today's review I'm going to be taking a look at another Doctor Who Series 11 Funko Pop release, this time round a variation of the 13th Doctor as portrayed by Jodie Whittaker, this time round in the 12th Doctor's clothing, or at least the remains of the 12th Doctor's clothing, whilst also wearing an apron and goggles, from a very brief scene from her first story, The Woman Who Fell to Earth. Now this is a rather intriguing variation, of course, as she constructs her sonic screwdriver within her first story, and makes for the third variant in fact of the 13th Doctor that we've seen so far within the Doctor Who Funko Pop series. So basically, long story short, if you've watched my previous product review of the Funko Pop Kablam Man, I purchased that product because I wanted that one the most out of the line, and basically my local shopping centre was doing a little bit of discount where if you bought one, you got the other one basically half price. So I ended up with this one as well because I kind of wanted it, I was intrigued by it, and I thought I may as well get it considering it's half price anyway. So here we are, sat reviewing this for you all now. I've kind of got my fingers crossed and hope that Funko have improved ever so slightly since my last Doctor Who Funko Pops that I purchased from them a number of years ago. In fact, upon filming this video right now, these two Funko Pops that I bought just recently are my first Funko Pops in over a year. Funnily enough, the last one that I did review was the second variation of 13th Doctor from November 2018 with the jacketless variation, which once again had a few quality control issues. So taking a look at the packaging itself, it's exactly the same to all of the other 5 trillion Funko Pops that exist. At the very top we get the Funko Pop logo. Doctor Who we have 899 was the title number for this figure. We have a nice graphic of the 13th Doctor in her goggles of 13th Doctor at the bottom, along with several warnings saying don't eat this product and all of the usual gubbins as per usual. On these sides of the box we get the Funko Pop logo, another variation of the product itself, and of course we get the window, which does of course stretch around to the side of the box. At the back of this we do also get the also available section, which does also state that the Kablam Man is available, which I have already reviewed that. If you're interested by that product, go and check out that review. And there is also available as a part of this series the Reconnaissance Dalek from the New Year's Day special Resolution. There is also available Tim Shaw, as well as a Pating that I do believe came out a number of months ago. And other than that, the packaging is exactly the same to usual, made of cheap flexible cardboard. So now let's get this thing out of the box. So here we have the rather crazy looking experimental, almost scientist 13th Doctor out of the box. And I think that it says a lot that Funko have decided to release this as a variant of the 13th Doctor, because it must have stood out in their mind to be worthy of a variant. And it is a shame, because I can remember this being one of the first promotional images that we got to see of Jodie within the role for her first episode. And at that point I had the impression that it was going to be a continuous theme throughout Doctor Who Series 11 and beyond, that we were going to have this Doctor that would be making her own gadgets and making cool utensils to use against different aliens throughout the universe, and she was going to be a little bit eccentric and wacky and inventive, and that character trait was kind of quickly brushed under the carpet and we never got to see it again. Luckily we've got this to kind of represent that rather nice glimmer of hope, because that's kind of what I seen throughout that moment, throughout The Woman Who Fell to Earth, a glimmer of hope, which sadly we didn't get to see again since. So overall it's visually striking, very much like the Kablam Man. I like the fact it has been posed into an actual position to make it look more visually interesting compared to the previously released Doctor Who Funko Pops that we've seen over the years. So firstly, taking a close look at the costume, of course this is the bare remains of the 12th Doctor's costume as previously seen within Twice Upon a Time, and to be honest I wouldn't mind a 2-pack being released of the 12th Doctor from his last story with his rather large bushy hair, and a regeneration version of the 13th Doctor. That would be rather cool. So we do in fact instead have this version of the 12th Doctor's costume, at this time round with Jodie wearing it. So starting off at the very bottom we do of course have the inclusion of the 12th Doctor's shoes, which has per usual have been given a rather nice gloss black paint app, along with of course a few details that have been sculpted into this, including the different panels on the shoe, as well as a little bit of lacing on there. Moving up to the trousers, these have been given a rather nice charcoal black paint app, with of course the cuffs of them rolled up there at the very bottom, and that paint application does continue onto the back where we do get a number of different creases here and there, however not really too much. And then the rest of the costume itself has been taken up pretty much entirely by this this apron piece, which has been painted a rather unusual browny green colour. There's absolutely no other detailing on this. There is possibly a faint slight material effect added over the top of this, however it is very subtle. And then of course, as you may have just seen on the very back here, we do have the inclusion of the rope there being tied around the 13th Doctor's waist, including a little tassely bit at the very back. And then of course the rest of the costume itself includes the 12th Doctor's white shirt, which had just been given a white paint app, no additional weathering added over the top of this, no dirt splatters or anything like that. And then of course, very much like how she has throughout the scene itself, the 12th Doctor's shirt has now been rolled up, and we do of course have a little bit of her arms exposed. Now what I like about this pose is it does actually replicate one of the promotional images that was used of the 13th Doctor from this story, where she's proudly presenting her new sonic screwdriver. So you have one of her arms there nicely spread out with the thumb and the fingers nicely sculpted in a rather simplistic manner, and then we have the other clutching her sonic screwdriver, which has been rather nicely sculpted. You can certainly tell what it is meant to be. Of course it is a rather basic sculpt with a silver paint app, and of course the orange emitter added there at the very top, and no other detailing has been applied to this. So now moving up to the top of the Funko Pop, we do have the 13th Doctor's head, which is just your average Funko Pop design really. Your standard rectangular loaf, including the usual likeness of the circular eyes, and of course the slashes coming off the side of these to represent that of eyelashes, much like how all female Funko Pops do have. However, to make this look strikingly different, we do have the plastic added over the top of this to give the impression of goggles, which I must say have been rather nicely done. If you did pull in fact hard enough, you could probably pull these off. However, the 13th Doctor doesn't have eyebrows underneath this, so it may look a little bit unusual. Eyebrows are normally just painted on anywhere, so I suppose if you're talented with paint and you wanted to have a goggleless version of the 13th Doctor, you could probably try to customise it somehow if you cared that much. You probably don't. The detailing on the goggles are rather nice. You have this goldish bronze design around the side, including a few details on the rims, as well as a few grooves that have been added towards the side of the goggles on either side. And what I do also really like is that the lenses in the very middle are in fact a transparent plastic, so you can see underneath this to actually see the standard Funko Pop eyes underneath, as opposed to them just being painted, as this would look a little bit tacky. Of course, turning around to the sides of the face due to her wearing goggles, we do also have the inclusion of this buckle piece or strap, which does of course run around the side of the head. However, unfortunately there is a little bit of paint bleed on this. Once again, it could certainly be a lot sharper, so we do have a few bits of loose paint application that does leak into the yellow of the hair, and we do also have the silver highlight of a buckle around one side, and the same can be said for the opposite side as well. And then of course, due to this being a standard Funko Pop, we have the standard paint application of a usual skin tone, along with the triangular nose in the very middle. The rest of the hair itself, we do of course have that yellowy design added, and from what I can see, I don't have the other Funko Pop in hand of the previously released 13th Doctors, but I do think we have a slight adjustment to the sculpt. I think that this hair is slightly more parted towards the side. We do of course have a few lines in there to represent the strands. I do also like the way it bushes out ever so slightly underneath the straps to give the impression that it's putting some pressure on the hair and changing the way that it flows down the side of the head. However, it would have been nice to maybe see this exaggerated ever so slightly to actually look like how it is on the box, as I think that that does look a little bit better compared to what we've actually got here. We do have a few strands and things, as I say, around the very side, and that does continue around to the back. However, of course, this is just one standard block yellowy colour, and we don't have any other detailing on this whatsoever. And that is pretty much it for the detail. Once again, if you know your stuff and you know Doctor Who Series 11, you can quite obviously tell that it is the 13th Doctor. However, it doesn't really strike any other resemblance to Jodie Whittaker. It's just a very cartoonised, rectangular-headed version. Only you may just be able to see on the very side where we have this black rim section. We do also have a little bit of paint rub there around the sides of the rims of the goggles, which I did try to get one that wasn't like this. However, all of them were like that in the actual shop. So once again, if you care that much, you could probably paint that up ever so slightly. However, it is a little bit of a shame that we do have scuff marks on there, but I suppose it can't be helped. So once again, a very similar situation to the Kablam Man, where if you are a fan of Doctor Who Series 11 and if you like the 13th Doctor, then this is a perfect product for you, because this hasn't really been released in any other line as a piece of merchandise, and it is a rather cool variant of the 13th Doctor, and it is nice to see her in an outfit that isn't her usual outfit that we've seen so many times throughout Doctor Who Series 11 and in many other pieces of merchandise already. And I think that the pose does also add to this. Very much like the Kablam Man, it is a lot more interesting than just your standard pose, and I like the fact that she's got her arms outstretched, wielding her sonic screwdriver. It looks a lot more cooler and interesting compared to what we've seen on the previous 13th Doctor figures. And of course, naturally, due to Jodie Whittaker being a woman, she does come with a stand, because Funko Pops of females are a little bit slimmer and therefore a bit more top heavy because the head is that big and inconvenient. However, what I found is she can in fact stand by herself, which once again, well done Funko for actually creating a product that does stand. However, if you do have a figure that does have a dodgy leg, which can happen, I've had multiple with it, then it is nice that a base has been provided to provide a little bit more of a secure display if you have this on the shelf. And to be honest, I wouldn't mind these being included with all Funko Pops, because quite a lot of mine have standing issues, and that's even if you do take it out of the box, of course, because these things are meant to be incredibly valuable, apparently. I really don't see why though. And just to finish off this review, and just in case I don't review the Reconnaissance Dalek, or even pick it up for that matter, here is a side-by-side comparison with the 13th Doctor next to the Kablam Man. I think that if anything, I will give Funko credit for actually creating some nice and interesting figures from Doctor Who Series 11, because quite a lot of companies haven't done that, so it is nice to have some figures released that are from Series 11, including some of the monsters and villains, to go up alongside the 13th Doctor. So overall, for the Doctor Who Series 11 Funko Pop of the 13th Doctor wearing goggles and apron from The Woman Who Fell to Earth, once again a very similar situation to that of the Kablam Man and any other Doctor Who Funko Pop for that matter. If you like Doctor Who, and if you like Doctor Who Series 11, and if you like Funko Pops, then this is a lovely product for you. I think that this product is rather creative, and very much like the Kablam Man, I'm happy to see that Funko are in fact being a little bit more creative within their Doctor Who Funko Pops, because quite a lot of them, what we've seen so far within the line, have just been re-releases and repaints over and over again, and have been pretty boring. So it is nice to have a much more creative Funko Pop to add to the collection, and it is nice to have a 13th Doctor out of her usual outfit, and for £10 someone somewhere will like this product. I think that this is ideal for the younger fans who like the 13th Doctor and wish to add a figure such as this to their collection. It is a much more cheaper price range compared to some of the other Doctor Who merchandise currently out on the market, and yeah, this is certainly one that I recommend more to the younger viewers or fans of the 13th Doctor, which I suppose is kind of what Doctor Who Series 11 is aiming for. It's aiming for that younger audience, it's aiming for the family, and I suppose that this does have a lot of potential, this merchandise and this Funko Pop in particular, along with the other Doctor Who Series 11 Funko Pops. It has the potential to be gifted at times such as birthdays and Christmas, which I give it credit for doing that. I give it credit for actually being able to merchandise Doctor Who and put it into toy shops, which at the minute we're not really seeing too much of. So it's good to see Doctor Who on the market, and at the end of the day, if you like this product, then by all means go out and buy it. But it will not be to everybody's tastes, because Funko Pops are Marmite things, and they always will be, and it is just a shame that once again, from reviewing two of these recently, that some of those issues are still there. A little bit of lacking in detail, and also that lack in paint application precision, potentially making these figures feel rather cheap and not worth that recommended retail price. So thank you very much for watching this review. I hope you have enjoyed it. As I mentioned at the start of this video, I have also reviewed the Kablam Man, so if you're interested by that product, go and check out that product review. And of course, stay tuned on The Host Productions for more Doctor Who content every single week, along with more Doctor Who product reviews coming in the future. So thanks for watching, have a nice day, and I shall see you all next time. Bye for now.